connected.
But these things happen. I've replaced it. I have the Aprilia. What a machine that is. Again, it has capabilities that far exceed my own. They don't exceed my own by quite as much as the RC30's abilities did. It is an amazing machine. It's so much fun and so pretty. It sounds good, it looks good, it's fun to ride. And so far it's been pretty reliable. A couple of minor issues, not excessive. I mean, it is Italian after all. One of the problems was the plug for the quick shifter wasn't manufactured properly. One of the pins wasn't pushed in all the way. So it was cutting out while I was on the track. Actually, I was on the circuit of the Americas. And it kept cutting out. Very dangerous situation while I was mid-corner. I fixed it halfway through the second day. I thought it was a fuel problem, a fuel pump, fuel filter. But yeah, I figured it out eventually. And the other one was not at all related to the bike, it was just a flat battery. So those are the only two issues I've had with it, although at 2,000 miles I did a valve check just to check the clearances and they were just borderline. Which I was kind of glad of, because I know some have had clearances that were completely out of spec with only 1,000 miles on underneath it. A friend of mine bought a 2014 R model and it just kept dying. Couldn't explain it, it would just stop. In the middle of traffic, the engine would stop. So he took it to the dealership and they couldn't diagnose it. They said, oh, it's fine, you're overreacting. Because of course they didn't warm it up to test it, they just started it up, revved it a little, said yeah, it's fine. And then he said no, let it get warm, take it for a long ride. So finally they did, and sure enough they said okay, yep, there it goes. Well, typically that often means a valve problem, a valve adjustment problem, so they checked it, and sure enough, if I remember correctly, he said one of the valves had 0 clearance, which is not good. So they adjusted the valves at 3,000 or 4,000 miles. I can't remember exactly what it was. It shouldn't have needed it at that number, but it did. And after the change was made under warranty, yeah, it was fine. But like I said, they're Italian. What can you expect? A lot more interesting and fun to ride than a equivalent Japanese bike, unless it's an RC30. That had character. Oh my god, what a character. It just wanted to run. It was just not happy unless it was riding full effort. What a machine. I'll never forget the first time I rode it. I was actually at Amaru with Matt. Yeah. Who owns this bike. I was there with him. He was on a TZ250, but he'd never done the track before. I'd raced in it a bunch of times. And even though the 250 was powerful, it wasn't that powerful. And I came up behind him at one point and I wanted to get in front of him before the next corner, so I just sort of pulled out from behind him and blipped the throttle just a little bit in an effort to get past as quickly as possible, and sure enough, boom, the front wheel came up. I went past him with a huge wheelie and then put the wheel down, turned in and just kept riding. At the end of the session, he said, "Did you do that on purpose?" And he didn't believe me when I said no. Can't blame him. But yeah, that bike had so much character. It would just snarl, snarling. It was a snarling beast. And the harder you pushed it, the more it wanted it. You just couldn't go fast enough to satisfy that thing. No matter how hard you pushed, it always said, "Is that all you've got?" Okay. I think we actually have a divided road. Oh, okay. Yeah, there's the divided section. It's a little early for kangaroos, or at least that's what I would have thought, but as we've seen, that's not entirely the case. Although that was not a kangaroo, that was a wallaby. I remember one time sitting on the side of the road with some friends having a chat, watching a guy with a CBR 1000F came through this section with a dog perched on the fuel tank. He was in full leathers and the dog was just sitting there. I hate to think what would happen if he crashed. This is the section where they used to have so much repair work that you could feel the tyres just wiggling underneath you as they squirmed on the black rubber sealant between the cracks in the asphalt. They have certainly fixed it. So I'm trying not to get too far above the limit. I haven't seen a single cop yet. But then again, during the week you often don't. And then of course, when I reach the straight sections, oh, that's that reminds me. One time I was coming along this way on my little two-stroke, just riding like I am now, just comfortable, not trying too hard. I was alone. And there was a cop that saw me, but I didn't see him. And I was just riding along, and apparently he took off chasing me, according to him at least. A lot of leaves in that lane. And then when I got to the straight section, I just slowed down to the speed limit. And sure enough, in my mirrors I see the flashing red and blue lights. I could hear the siren, so I pulled over and took my helmet off, waited for him to walk up. First words out of his mouth, "I could smell you, I just couldn't catch you." And I thought, oh well, I wasn't trying to ride quickly. But because of the winding roads, he said he couldn't get a radar read on me, so he said just take it easy, and took off. And that was only because when I reached the straight section I stuck to the speed limit. If I hadn't done that, I would have been a sitting duck and definitely got a ticket. But I've never gotten a ticket of all the times I rode up here. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. I would easily say it more than 1,000 times that I came up along here. Weekends, weekdays, summer, winter, night time as well. Although I never really liked riding here at night because you just couldn't see far enough ahead. Never crashed. Had a few near misses. Most involving other cars doing crazy things. Unexpected things. Saw a lot of people crash around me. And yeah, got out before it was too late. And this could be the last time in a long time. To be honest, I don't miss it, not at all. If I never ride this road ever again, I won't be too disappointed, because I know that I'll still keep riding on the track. That's where the fun is. That's where you know that no matter what happens, there's an ambulance right nearby, less than, a quarter of a mile away. There's ample runoff. Look at this. I mean, there's no runoff here. There's no runoff there. Look at that. There's no oncoming traffic on the track. At least there shouldn't be. If there is, then something serious has gone wrong. And if there is, yeah, they'll probably shut the track down. There's no leaves on the track after the first few people have gone by. There's no cyclists. It's just so much safer. I did even get a ticket one time. I was riding along like this, the car in front of me was doing exactly this, giving me a chance to pass, so I did. And later that day, I got a phone call saying, "Hello Mr. Nielsen, were you riding on the old Pacific Highway today at approximately 2 p.m? I said, yeah. And he said, "Okay, good, I'm glad you said yes, because even if you hadn't, I'd still be sending you a ticket." So apparently there was a off-duty cop in a car behind me, saw me do that, what this nice considerate driver was doing up ahead, saw me go past, took note of my license plate, looked me up, saw my name, address, phone number, called me up, sent me a ticket in the mail. So ever since, yeah, not that there's anything wrong with being ticketed for breaking the law, but there's something about the way the guy was talking, such a smug, oh my goodness, just dripping with smugness. Like it's just pure spite, just spiteful, yeah, I guess that's the best way to describe the attitude, just spiteful. Anyway, like I keep telling people here, how much does a track day cost? Oh, about $240, $250, something like that. How much does a speeding ticket cost? Well, up to $300 for just a mild one, just a minor one. Doing that would get you a ticket if you're behind a cop. So straight away I say, okay, if you get one ticket, that's paid for your track day. Heaven forbid you should actually crash on the street. If you crash here, there's no telling what you could hit. If you crash on the track, majority of the time most people just pick it up and keep running. Well, not keep running, but at least ride back to the pits, complete some basic repairs, and then keep riding. Although, if that's what you're interested in, that's where dirt bike riding comes in. Although I'm not currently a very good advertisement for dirt bike riding, considering I have some serious damage on my right knee from a very slow, very minor 20-mile-an-hour crash on a dirt bike. It was strictly my fault though. I had a dirt bike front tyre and a supermoto rear tyre, and I was enjoying just sliding around on the dirt. But I started sliding when I was doing a right-hand corner turn, and I just couldn't control the slide, and it got away from me. And sure enough, I have a torn but not separated anterior cruciate ligament and 2 fractures in my tibia, which I would never have expected. For some weird reason I am actually still able to walk. Not without some significant pain, but I am still able to walk. And riding like this is even more, less painful. Even easier than driving, because I don't have to use my foot to ride. So even though dirt bike riding is generally speaking significantly safer than just about any other form of motorcycles in certain circumstances, I was extremely unlucky to suffer some injuries. Of course, motocross and that sort of riding is incredibly dangerous. I remember I've seen people break limbs. I saw a guy crash right in front of me on a motocross track, and he had to be helicoptered out I don't know what his injuries were, but I do remember someone saying, call life flight, call them now. That was a horrifying experience for, well, not so much for him, not so much for me, but for him. Yeah, I've never understood the appeal with jumping. I don't like it, and don't want to do it. But some people just love it, so good for them. But yeah, supermoto racing is hilariously good fun. With that dirt bike front wheel, fantastic traction, I could literally just twist the gas on my KTM dirt bike, KTM 520, and boom, the rear would start spinning, and I'd turn the corner, make a corner, and the rear would just slip and slide away. It was a lot of fun. And then coming off to a corner, I just touch the brakes and get the rear to spin so that as I was entering the corner, the rear tire is spinning. Also, hilariously good fun. This is where my friend and I would always hope that we would have no traffic. Yeah, that's the CSS riding position, but barely moving off the seat, the head, elbow down. Okay, I think this wind noise will prevent me from talking too much from now on, but it has been fun.